So, all right, let's proceed. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another product design class where we learn how to develop groundbreaking products that provide solutions to businesses and the world at large. So, in yesterday's class, we did introduction to iconography. Yes, so we tried to, learn how we can actually come up with icons. You understand, the icons we use in our design works, the icons we see in our mobile devices, the icons we see on the websites. How did it come about? You understand? So we tried to look at some methods that we can use to develop these icons. And I said we have the key guide method. That's key guides are a framework that allows us to create these icons within a closed space. Then we have like the freehand method. The freehand method is where you just open up a frame and you're already doing these icons, probably because you have an idea of how it looks like. So in today's class we are going to continue from where we stopped yesterday, and I hope by the end of this class we are going to go extensively far in what we're trying to do. So I sent this Figma link to the group. So I need you guys to join me on the file. So everybody is supposed to be on this file with me, because this part of design, it is a part that most persons usually shy away from. So it's a part that most persons usually shy away from. So, but I usually like to encourage people to try it out, because if everybody is shying away from creating icons, that'd be easy, right? So some persons will be like, okay, why would I want to learn how to just do these icons when I can just jump into the community or some of the icon websites, get these icons, and I'm flying with my works. But the truth is, there are some top paying jobs out there, projects. What will you do? So you need to at least have a basic knowledge of how to create some of these basic icons, in your workspace. Let it not be that it's probably the advanced icons that have a lot of efficacy, that you might be struggling to, create. But the basic ones, let it be that we have an idea, how we can create it. So we tried out some simple examples yesterday, right? Okay, this is what we're going to be creating today. So I'll just do this and this. So we tried out some little examples yesterday, and I introduced how to develop these key lines, which is of course why everybody is in this file. So we are going to be doing a class work in today's class. That's why I won't be talking too much. Today's class will just be everybody doing this, and that's why everybody is on this file, because I'll be moving around to see what everybody is creating. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to create these key lines. Do you understand? And I want you, as I'm explaining how to do it, please take any workspace in this particular Figma file that is convenient with you. As I'm doing it, do it together with me. So I'll be sure that everybody knows how to create this, because usually this is always like the problem, like trying to create it, you understand, and understanding the ideology. Now I already gave out a resource material yesterday, which is material.io, under designs and iconography, of how these shapes came to be and how they actually help guide us to create this icon. So you might want to just go look into that website, just check that particular iconography area to get a deeper understanding of why they decided to use these rectangles and shapes. But it's very self-explanatory. Any kind of shape you want to create will either have a sharp edge or a curved edge. The icon might either be straight or it might look round. So any kind of film will always fall in between these shapes. So that is why we have these shapes properly placed like this. I think there is a mathematical formula that explains why the rectangle should be on the horizontal and on vertical, blah blah blah. But we're not concerned with the maths, right? We're just going to get this set up and then we'll use it to start creating icons. So you all will be creating icons with me, you know, in this class. So I need you guys to follow me closely as much as you can. So now I'm going to have my own workspace, so please take any of your workspace and then just follow me. So I'll create my frame. Like I said, I always advise you always start, you know, doing your stuff with a frame. This is 24, and I'll change the height to 24 as well. So I have this in my workspace. Let me zoom in so you all can see my screen very well. Make use of the space very well. So I have this, you know, as my frame. Now, normally what I like doing is I like setting up my grid inside my frame. Now, the reason for setting up your grid inside your frame is so that when you're trying to create your icons, it can be snapping. You know, it snaps to grid, right? So it helps you create icons that are symmetrically, you know, aligned. So now I'll click on this frame. On my properties panel here, I will see layout grid, right? And I'll click on the layout grid to bring out this grid system. 8 is usually the default, but I want to just change this to 1 because I'm using a very small size here, right? 1. And of course you can adjust the color and the opacity of the color. Mine is at 100% and the color is red, so I'll just click on enter. So I'll just click on enter, and I have, you know, I have my grid, you know, all set up here, right? Now the next thing now is to start, you know, developing the rectangles and the shape. Now usually, how I usually do mine is I usually start with a square. Now, but before I draw the square, let me find the center point here. For some of us who did technical drawing in school, I was opportunity to do technical drawing in school. So, but for some of us who did technical drawing in school, you will always know that they normally tell us that for you to find a center of a page, you have to draw 2 diagonal lines across, and the point of intersection of those diagonal lines is the center, right? So we are going to just use that similar method here. So I'll click on this and then I'll select line. I want to use my line to draw diagonal lines. So I'll draw a line from this point, you know, to this point. So it happens that the stroke value of my line is very big. The reason why it's very big is because the document I'm working with, or the frame I'm working with, is actually a small frame. So I need to be working with small sizes. So I'll just change this from 1 to 0.1, and I have something like that. And probably I might just want to leave this outside. Then I have this. Now I need to just zoom in to make sure that it's actually at the center here, which of course it's where it is. Yours might not be there. So if yours is not there, click on the line that's on this line, select it, and then just push it down. You know, so let me try this as well. Sorry. So for people joining us, please, for people just joining, please, I need you guys to follow me closely. Do the same thing I'm doing on this Figma link. So if you're not on this Figma link, I dropped it on the group before now. Just click on it and join. This is a live, this is a practical class, right? So everybody has to be doing what I'm doing, because at the end of the class, you're supposed to see what each and every one of us have done. So we are trying to create our key guides. And what I've done first is I created the frames and I set my grid inside the frame. I'm using a value of 1 for my grid, and now I'm drawing a diagonal line because I want to use this diagonal line to locate the center of this my page. So I have this all set up like this. Then I'll draw another line from the other side. I mean, that's the normal thing to do, right? So I'll draw another line from this point, you know, to this other point. Yeah, then I'll change this from this to 0.1, and then probably, just because I like working with outside, I'll put it outside. Now you can see that in this one it did not lap to the center here, right? So I can just click on it and then bring it down to the center, just like that.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Please, that 24 by 24, the width and height, when I do my own, it used to be very, very small.
Yes, it's very very small. Just zoom in. Like I zoomed in. This is actually very small. I just zoomed in. As you can see, it's very very small, right? So I just zoomed in. It's actually supposed to be small. You know, icons are usually small, right? Now remember in yesterday's class, I said we have different sizes for different surfaces or for different screen. You understand? We have 24 by 24, which is like basically the standard icon. 24 by 24 to 32 by 32 is like basically the standard icon size for mobile applications, right? So when you're developing your mobile apps and you want everything to fit, be checking the sizes of your icons. You will see that they are between the sizes of 24 to 32. But when you're working with bigger screens like probably tablets, desktop sizes, you might be working with sizes between 64, to 100 pixels, right? So let's proceed. So it's okay if it's small. Just zoom in, for you to have this particular kind of workspace I have on my own screen. So everyone should follow me closely, do exactly what I'm doing, so you'll be sure you know how to do this. Because most times when you let this thing go, you're just watching me. When you try to do it, you find out that you won't just know what happened, or you might not be getting it right. But once you're able to develop this,
Okay, but just slow down a little, please. Like taking it one after another.
all right, that's fine. I will slow down. That's okay. So but you get up to this point that we are in now, right? You are up to this point, right?
Not yet.
Eh? Okay.
Not
I'm
yet.
lost.
Okay, because you guys are just coming in now, so let me let me just start afresh, please. So I'll delete everything, right? Now we are trying to, learn how to, create our icons. I said a lot of things before now, but you can check the video, later on. So I said I will start with a default frame of 24 by 24 as my frame size. Now the reason for that is because my icons are small, right? I'm just developing icons and it's small. You understand? It's not like I don't want it to be so big. So I'll just click on a frame here and I'll just draw a random frame because I'll adjust this size manually. I'll come to my properties panel. It's currently at 11 by 11, so I'll change it to 24 by 24 pixel, right? So this is it. So I can gently zoom in here so you all can have a better view of my workspace. Now this is 24 by 24. Now after creating my frame, the next thing I usually do is to set up my grid system. The reason for setting up my grid system is so that as I'm developing my icons, grid systems allows you to snap to a point. So from there, if I snap to this point, if I'm developing something else, I already know that okay, this is the line, and as I'm moving, it's automatically snapping to points, so making it easy for me to align objects very very well. So I'll just set up my grid system. So if I click on this frame on your properties panel here, you will see layout grid, right? So click on the layout grid, it will add a grid. 8 is usually the default. So but we want to change it to 1. The reason for that is because we're working with a very very small frame. So 1 is there, so you can change the color and the opacity of your work. Mine is at 100% now, so you can decide to use the same setting that I'm using. So the moment you do that, you will see that we have like a red line inside my frame, which is my grid. Now after doing that, I want to locate the center of this frame. Now it's very easy to assume that something around here is the center, but I want to know the exact center of this page, and to do that I can find out the center from a diagonal line, right? So I'll use the line here, draw diagonally just like this from one point of the frame to the other. Now this line I drew is an outline, right? But it's very very big because my frame is small, so I want to be working with small sizes. It's currently at one outline space, 1 pixel, but it's big because the size of the thing is small. So I'll reduce to 0.1 and it gives me like a smooth size. And you need to make sure that this line intersects at the center of this square pixel here. This per square pixel. When you count the entire boxes inside there, it's going to be 24 height, 24 width. So that's how you're working with 24 by 24. I mean that should be first self-explanatory. So I'll just confirm here and everything is okay. So I need to draw here, just from here, right? then I'll place it here. Then I'll reduce this to 0.1. Yep. Then I'll zoom in to make sure it's at the center there, which it is, but this one is not at the center, so I'll just move it and place it there. Now because my grid system is active, it automatically snaps, to the center, which is the use of that grid system. So we have, this is the basic structure, the very basic structure. So I have the center of my page. So from the center now, I can now be building stuffs up. Now, having done this diagonal line, the next thing I want to do is I want to develop the size of my square. Are you guys with me? Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
All right. So I want to develop the size of my square. Now, why I usually start with square is because square has like, I can actually determine the size of the square. I can say, okay, 18 by 18, 16 by 16, 22 by 22, 20 by 20. I know that. So from there, from what I know, I will now build other things that probably I don't really have a fixed value for. So I'll just decide to start with a size of like 18 by 18 for my square, right? So I'll just change this to 18 by 18, right? And I need to make sure that this is properly aligned. So how you know it's properly aligned is when you count the boxes from the top, it is 1, 2, 3, and the boxes from down, it's 1, 2, 3. So it's basically at the center. Now I am not working with a fill here. What I'm working with is an outline. So I'm going to remove this from the fill state to the outline state. So I'll come to the properties panel. In the fill section, I'll remove this in the outline, and then I'll just add an outline, right? Now the outline is big, so I'll reduce this to 0.1. Now we need to be able to get sharp edges of an icon and curved edges of an icon, right? So I need to equally curve these edges so that I can use it to get like probably curved edges as at when you. And mind you, any curve radius we are using here, we just have to be consistent with it, across all our rectangles. So probably let me just decide a curve radius. Probably let me try 1. I'm using one pixel for my curve radius. Now, having done this, by developing this now, I am actually done with creating my wireframes. So once I have this, now the next thing I will do is I'll press Ctrl D. Ctrl D is to duplicate this rectangle here. You understand? Ctrl D is to duplicate. So I press Ctrl D. Now the basic secret is each rectangles are 1 pixel away from each other. Follow me closely. Each rectangle are 1 pixel away from each other. So I have duplicated this. So at this particular position, I have 2 rectangles. So probably I want to go with the horizontal rectangle first before moving to the vertical rectangle. If I am doing that, if this is coming inside 1 pixel inside, right? This will equally come inside 1 pixel inside. Now it simply means that this will go outside 1 pixel and this will go outside 1 pixel. Are you guys with me? Do you understand?
Sorry, can you repeat what you just did right now?
I'll select this thing and I'll delete it again. Now once you've set this up, do you understand? Now what I normally do, this is like my shortcut. This is how I know that I'm on the right track. I'm not sure you will make mistake if you're following this particular method, and it's easier. Just click on this particular square that you've created, duplicate it. I've pressed Ctrl D. As you can see, Figma is telling me duplicate selection. Now the moment you duplicate it, the tactics in developing these keyframes is each rectangle is 1 pixel away from each other. In other words, if I click on this and probably I decide to bring this guy inside, what I did was I brought it 1 pixel inside because it was here. I brought it 1 pixel inside. This square box is 1 pixel. It means that on this other side, let me zoom out so you can see everything at once. I'm supposed to keep it. It means that on this other side, I am going to bring in 1 pixel of that rectangle inside. Then on this side I'll take it outside, then on this side I'll take it outside. I have developed the horizontal rectangle. Do we understand it now? Do you understand it now?
Yes.
Alright, so now if I have done this now, I don't need to come and start drawing another rectangle. All I just need to do is press Ctrl D on my keyboard to duplicate this vertical rectangle, and then I'll change the angle. This is the angle, this is the rotation angle. I'll just change it to probably 180. I'm sorry, 90. Let's try 90 because that's angle 180 now, angle on the straight line. So I'll change it to 90. Now I have this set up. Now if you look at it very closely, you will see that this third rectangle now is 1 pixel away from this, 1 pixel away from this, 1 pixel away from this, so it's balanced. Now I have set up my keyframe basically. Do we understand how we generated this? It's key lines, not keyframe. Keyframe is when you talk about animation. So I've generated my key lines, please, not keyframe. Do we understand? Are we on the same?
Yes.
All right. So now I have a center point here. Now usually I usually like having circles, you know, because the circles usually help a lot. So I usually like having them. So what I will do is I'll use my circle and I'll keep my mouse at the center here. Now in my keyboard, I'll hold down Shift and the alternate key at once. The Shift and the alternate key, when you hold it down, will help you draw a perfect circle, right? So I'll hold it down and I'm drawing. As you can see, it came from the center and it's moving up, and I can just decide, okay, this is the size I want it. Probably I should make it 10 by 10, or probably 8 by 8, or 10 by 10 is okay with me. So I can just decide 10 by 10. Then I can let go. By working with outline, so I'll remove the fill and add my stroke and then reduce it to 0.1. Now we have this. Now ladies and gentlemen, when you have this basic structure, you've been able to develop your keyframe, your key lines rather. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Now, if you actually like developing logos, because sometimes you can be working on a project and you need to develop a logo for that brand, and these logos have to be small and still be sharp, and probably you a Figma user, you understand, you still use the same process to create logos. Probably by the time we do 1 or 2 icons, you guys will see how you can combine shapes to get some nice shapes. Some of these mobile app logos that you see on mobile devices and websites, most of them were created in Figma. It was just with this same principle, you understand, and Figma allows you to create something in its tiniest form, and that thing will still not lose quality. It will not pixelate, so it's very good that we equally understand this concept as well. So I will proceed now. Having done all of this, let me zoom out. Now, having done all of this, I basically created my keyframe. This is what I'm going to be working with, right? Now, I'm going to select every single thing here on my frame. Now, I want to reduce the opacity of the black because I'll be creating my icons in black. So I don't want it to be, confusing my eye around my work. So I'll just click on it, not exactly the opacity. I'll just dim the color. It's 100% black, right? I'll just bring it up a little, just like this, because it's just supposed to serve like a guide to me. It's not supposed to confuse me from thing I want to be doing. So probably around here it's okay. And then after doing all these things, what I want to do next is I want to lock all these objects. The reason for locking them is so that as I'm creating something, it will not be moving. Like now, if I click it, it can be moving, as you can see. These objects can move here and there, so I don't want it to be moving around when I'm trying to I just want it to serve as a guide that I can use to develop, my work. So I don't want it to move around. So what I will do is I will just lock it. So you find out that the moment you lock it, you cannot drag it again. So I'll lock every single thing, but I will not lock the frame because I want to probably be moving around the frame. You understand? I locked everything, but so I can move this frame around, but I cannot move the contents of this frame, which is these objects, around, because I locked every single thing. And that's exactly what I want. And we've been able to create these key lines. So was anybody doing the same thing with me? Taiwo. Yeah, Taiwo. Okay, Taiwo, you need to adjust the horizontal rectangle. It's too big. It's just 1 pixel away from each rectangle. Yes, Olivia is on the track. Olivia got it. Who else is with me? And Lillian. Lillian. Okay, Lillian, I've not started. What is on my file? Okay, please guys, join up and try to replicate the same thing. You need to just try doing these stuff. Like I think that's the only way you can actually master iconography. On the long run, you might not be an icon designer, but for future's sake, let's get it. So we'll proceed. We run again. So I have this. So what we are going to be doing now is we are going to start developing icons. So I already have like list of icons here that we can start with. I'm sure some of these icons are familiar. We have seen these icons in one place or the other, so I don't need to come and start explaining what the icons are used for or what is used for. But okay, yesterday I talked about the Boolean operations because we're going to be using the Boolean operations here. So I talked about the Boolean operations. Boolean operations allows us to merge, subtract, intersect objects, together. So let me start by creating, this chat icon here. And this is a chat icon, right? I mean, it's super simple. I think it's super simple though. But let's just start with that. So what I'm going to do is, in this, I'm going to get a rectangle. I'm going to draw something like this. Now I need the edges to be curved, right? So I'll just curve the edges to about 25 or more. Let me extend this to this point and this to this point. And I'm not working with a few. Working with a few, so I'll change this to an outline. Yep, just something like that. So I have I have another line. Ouch. Okay. Sorry, there was a mistake here. Sorry. Let's review. There was a mistake, and that was why this was not working well. So please, this circle. You can have like 2 circles, right? Let me just off this. You can have like 2 circles in your work, the smaller one and of course the bigger one. But in this my work, I didn't have a big circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this particular circle here, but let me make it smaller. So it's 8 by 8 now, and I'll just bring it down to, okay, it's 8 by 8 now, yes. So I'll duplicate it and touch it. So I'll hold down my Shift and Alt, and I'll bring this in. Yes, so I have something like this. So this is actually how it's supposed to look like. So you can see, because it was not how I found out was when I was trying to draw, I'm supposed to be able to, the circle is actually supposed to guide me, while I'm trying to curve the rectangle, but I noticed nothing was actually guiding me. So that was when I knew there was something that was off, because if I wanted the inner circle to guide me, it would be too small, so those are just like, that's why we have some of these things, so it guides you. So when you're doing something that might not give you the right results, it gives you a hint that, okay, this something is wrong, so you can actually amend. So I'll go ahead and lock this layer, then I'll on this rectangle, so now I now have points, so I need to have like it can move here, exactly. So I have it all lined up here. Then I have it, V, I'm using the scale tool, so I can bring it down to the center.
Excuse me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, excuse me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you redraw the rectangle? Can you draw the rounded rectangle?
Okay.
Can you just redraw it?
I just deleted, right? I'm trying to make sure that the grid system, it's actually a grid system. So I'll draw this to the center, right? Then I'll draw this other one to these rectangles. It has to be overlapping in something. So when I'm done, I now curve it somehow like this. I'm using a curve radius of 25. Then I'm moving it to the circle, so it overlaps on this. So I'm not working with fill, so I'll remove the fill. So I just want to bring this down, just beneath. Then I'll take this a little bit off from the center. You can decide to keep it like this or like this, whichever way, but I keep it here. So now what you want to do again is, I want to duplicate this guy, Ctrl D to duplicate, and then I want to move it over to the other edge, just like this, right? And decide to bring it down just like this, exactly. So I have everything all snapped to a particular point. It's either touching the circle or it's touching a rectangle, so everything is in position. Now I want to now make it look like a chart. I want to make it look like a chart. Now this is where we use the Boolean operation, right? So I want it to be like this particular area that is here is not showing, so I want to cut off this particular area, and I equally want to give some space, some negative space, around there. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to this particular do the cutting out, because if you use a stroke, anywhere that is empty, it will leave it empty, but anywhere this particular shape is touching, it will cut that place. So if you can imagine it, you just see that you're just creating like lines, like I'll just have like this place now will be remaining, this place now will be remaining, and all of those, but that's not what I want to do. So I will remove this stroke and add a fill. It doesn't matter because it's going to go out anyway. So the subtract selection. So if I click on the subtract selection, everything that was there, everything that it was touching, it subtracted it, and then it gave me this negative space around here. So I might now decide to probably...
Sorry, your voice hang though. I didn't get what you did. Sorry.
Okay, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Now this is where we are. So what I want to do is I want to cut out. Let me off this layer so you can see. I want to cut out this part, right? So any place that the new rectangle I'm putting, which is this a rectangle, the rounded rectangle I'm putting, anywhere it's touching, it is going to cut it out. So you can see it is touching from here, upwards this point. So anywhere it's touching is going to cut it out. Anywhere it's not touching, it will leave it. That is how intersection works. Sorry, subtract. That is how subtract works. So now, and in yesterday's class, I said before the Boolean operation will be active, you have to select two objects, right? So I'll select the two objects that I want to work on, which is this and this. Now click on the Boolean groups, and then I'll use the subtract selection, which is what I want to do. So I'll subtract. Now you can see it has subtracted. So I have my negative space, which is what I wanted, and then all those lines here, I've deleted them. So I want to now boost up this outline value to probably 1.5, so it looks thicker in the eye and not just like this. So I'll enter into this frame and then increase 1.5, and I have something like this. So ladies and gentlemen, we've been able to create this icon. Now somebody else might want to go with something simple, right? So I can actually bring this, like probably duplicate it, and use it in my work, whichever way I want to use it, right? Somebody else might want to go with something that is super simple, right? So I'll just select this, selecting the entire frame, hold my Alt key is to duplicate, or once you select a frame like this and you press Ctrl D, it duplicates the frame to the next position. So probably I'll just bring it a little bit close so we can all see it at once in my screen. Now somebody else might want to be super creative. Maybe they don't like the excess joining. I mean, it's a chat, it's a mobile app chat icon. So let's make it super simple. So I'll off this, right? And then the person might want to just go with something like this, from this to this. But that's probably, yeah, I think it can work in both fill and outline state. So you have something like this. Let's align it to this. Then I can duplicate probably with like 1 pixel. Let's make it two works, right? Yeah, 2. And then the other guy goes there. So I select this and I change this to black, right? It's all coming out. This is too big. Let's make it small. So I'll switch over to my K2. My K is for scale. So when you hit